Yeah, everyone knows what they're doing. Except for the Yambonsky Guilty Spark, because neither of them are on. I don't know. The game was supposed to have already happened, so I'm going to have to ask about that.
Ooh. Well, in
Oh,
the meantime,
thank you.
oh, aehu, what are you doing? He's so scared he's dropping out already. Yes, Suklaa, you win.
That was odd. A's computer's, like, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, aehu, looks like he's just going to decide to shatter the hopes of Suklaa. He will not give him the free win. In fact, he'll even make him play it out. What bad manners. aehu, our purple Zerg, is going to be spawning a little bit above the 3 o'clock position here on Shattered Temple. His opponent, EiGSuklaa, will be on just about the 12 o'clock position. You can call it the top right if you like, of the same map I just mentioned. It looks like he's going for that standard pylon at the top of the ramp, so we're not going to see any Forge Fast Expand coming out of that. And we are close air positions, so a lot of things can come from that. I'm going to be interested to see how this will play out.
aehu still one of the few people who insists on. So he's like, I talk to him and I play with him the most out of everyone in the tournament. He does the double extractor trick every single game.
Double extractor trick?
Yeah. He was at 12-10 supply there. He does that every single time he plays Protoss because it's part of his build order for a Roach Rush. So he is going to do a 7 Roach Rush in this matchup almost every single time.
Right.
And try and expand behind it. He'll Roach Rush out, let those roaches do whatever damage they can, and try to expand behind it. It's definitely not the best of strategies, but it's like a 50-50. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't for him.
Right.
Especially when he's facing a high-level player. He's going to just hope that he gets lucky with it.
Right. I think Roach Rush probably would be more effective when your opponent is going for the fast expand, just for obvious reasons. But you can actually pull off a lot of damage with a Roach Rush if you do it correctly, especially if you bring an Overlord and you're able to see on the high ground, just park it next to that cliff where you see the gateway and the cybernetics core, maybe even pick off a building. Roach Rushes were actually pretty common, not even, I would say about 3 months ago. And you'd see even players like Idra. It was very common. I think he might have kind of patented the build where you would go to base and then you would just like stream roaches and lings to your opponent's base when they are going for fast expand. And that's actually when the metagame kind of shifted, and Protoss has really made it common for them to get that Stargate right away after they went for a Forge Fast Expand, to stop any roaches and lings that might be coming. And, that's just a huge metagame shift. But now it's more common for, 6/6 Warp Gate or, throwing on that Robo. So it's kind of even back out after that. So, that was a pretty good strategy, and it kind of died down because of that Stargate metagame shift. But very interesting.
Also very, very, where was I going to go with that? Crap. Now I forgot.
Well,
Darn it.
Suklaa's going to be seeing this, which obviously is not good for aehu, because you want to kind of have the element of surprise with this.
He hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Did he see? I didn't see the roach one.
Warren.
He did see the gas, and that's just about it. And the probe actually just barely, it just barely caught one roach there, but he didn't see the rest of them. He only sees this one right now. He can assume a lot is going to be coming on its way. But,
whoa, what was up with this timing there? That's like really, really oh, the roaches are already out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally missed all those roaches already out of the base.
And actually, pretty interesting, Suklaa went for, I think, the perfect reaction. He didn't see an expansion coming from his opponent, said, okay, something's probably up, and he threw down 3 photon cannons, and I think he's going to be completely safe from this, to be honest. The only thing is he might have overreacted. He might have only needed 2 or maybe even 1 if he got the correct force fields down. And now aehu is going to have an opponent who is contained in his base and maybe overproduced photon cannons a little bit. So now Suckler really limited in what he can do, and he's actually showing that by going Stargate, which is kind of his outlet to being, contained in his base. What aehu should do is stay at the bottom of that ramp right now.
Yeah, he needs to pick up on those expansions. He definitely needs to pick up on the Stargate because right now he has no lair. He has no evolution chamber even, so if this catches him off guard, it could be really bad. And it's one of those things in StarCraft where if you don't scout aggressively enough, like Dark Templar or things like that, and in the early game, and especially in the lower leagues when you don't know the timings of when these things come out and how to stop it, he's just going to be really unprepared. I think he may expect it because he's building 2 more queens. He'll have 2 up at the natural, at the main. So he'll, unless he moves that one down, which would not be a good idea.
Right.
Is he going to move that? Oh no!
Yeah, looks like he will be. If he doesn't connect his bases with creep either, it's going to be pretty rough. In case you didn't catch it, we also have this pylon right next to the gold base. So he's going to be able to do some warp-ins while maybe some of his units are distracted up at his main. He'll be able to send some to that expansion. And normally what you do when you do go for a rush like that Rotrush we just saw, you'll also sacrifice an Overlord. Or not even sacrifice it, just send it in at the same time. So you can distract at the front and then have an Overlord come in at the back, be able to scout everything and then get out without being damaged. But he just kind of neglected to scout, or he wasn't able to.
Roach is picking up and supply blocking EiGSuklaa by taking out that pylon at the gold. He's not being aggressive enough with this Void Ray, I think, because he got this advantage by getting this Void Ray out pretty quickly. And I know you sometimes wait for 2, but especially when you're on close flying positions, he could poke in, take out an Overlord, and walk away. I mean, then...
Yep.
And I know that the casting is... Or, not casting, the scouting, it didn't pick up yet, so he might be waiting in there the 2 go in. He's going to pick off an Overlord, but that just gave him more time to get the lair finished and throw down a Hydra Den.
Right, exactly. And by the time you've already been harassing, by the time that second Void Ray comes out, he won't have been able to produce another queen. And yeah, that was a nice transfuse, but there's no more energy for transfuse. Not close enough for any of those queens. But 2 Void Rays in this Phoenix actually can be pretty dangerous. If EiGSuklaa does micromanage this correctly, he will be able to do a lot of damage. It's all going to be about those graviton beams.
Yeah, how many more? He is producing 1 Phoenix at a time. He needs to get all of his air units involved. There he goes, selecting that Phoenix. But he has to have them. A very common thing I learned when that was really helpful when I mono battle Phoenixes a lot when I mono battle. So I just have all my Phoenixes rallied to my other Phoenixes so that they're always going to the pack and just following one another around. But he's losing so many Overlords right now to all of these Phoenixes.
This is actually really harsh, and because of this he might not be able to produce Hydras or more Queens for that matter. And he actually is going to get supply blocked pretty soon here. He already is at 67 out of 68. Clearly not enough for another Hydra, or 1 Hydra for that matter. And EiGSuklaa, I think he could take advantage of this situation. If these queens are really split up and they're pretty slow. The bases are almost connected completely by creep, but they're still a long distance for walking on Shattered Temple, so he could try and take advantage of that fact. And you can really have a lot of DPS with these 3 Phoenix and these 2 Void Rays. If he just focus fires down some of these queens, tries to isolate some of them.
He's going for the harassment on the Overlord, which might be all he needs. And these Hydras...
He's about 7 Hydras out, and I think that'll definitely be enough to stop this harassment, especially paired with these queens.
He needs to get those units down though, because if he has to let them fly away, it might be it might be back to bite him in the butt later on. He's building a second Hydra Den because that first one was threatened rather. Gonna hide those units up in the top. Probably gonna use them later if he remembers them, for that matter. Because there he goes. He's gonna pull them out of the corner. He's building a robo facility. He's been macroing behind this. We've been looking at aehu quite a bit, but he's trying to take down the rocks to his 3rd. He has the supply is pretty much in aeu's favor, though, despite all of this. He's trying to take the gold, and aeu is on equal basis. He should be a little bit more than that, but I think aeu still has quite a chance in this game.
Yeah, aeu's kind of been under heavy pressure, so, two base is kind of understandable, but he should definitely be a lot more saturated than where he is right now. In the meantime, it's definitely kudos to Suklaa for being able to keep up on macro, and he's actually at even harvester count right now, which is pretty crazy considering the circumstances.
Yeah, very good from aeu, keeping up on that. Evolution Chamber down, and Spire coming up. So finally gonna get some Spore Callers out. 3 Queens hanging off creep in the main. I think that might have been a misrally, or a misclick rather. Suklaa not being really too aggressive with these air units. He probably can't be too aggressive with them anymore. Actually, aeu's gonna move out with all of his roaches and hydras.
I actually think this is the correct decision. If you just look at purely army-wise, the favor is hugely with aeu here. If he can just get some air vision, up near this cliff, he'll be able to take out just about all those buildings without contest. But right now, if he can just let his hydras do a lot of the work. Oh, a couple Phoenixes flying over and taking a lot of damage. But nice force fields. That's exactly what aeu had to avoid. What he does need to do is focus fire down these sentries, which is really the main threat of this army right now.
Comes a Colossus, though. Pretty good force fields, as you said, trapping a lot of this. But this Colossus is going to get separated, and he might waste this. Oh, this Colossus isn't going to do much damage.
Oh my
he
gosh.
loses it.
The Colossus was actually so important, but in the end, we saw that Suklaa was able to do a lot of damage just with those force fields. Kind of surprising because, it's not that easy, especially with the Hydras shooting behind the Roaches, being able to do a lot of damage. They did have that Groove Spine upgrade. It does give that extra range to give him 6 range, which I think is 1 above a Sentry. Yep, Sentry has 5 range. And so, against that impressive DPS and that heavy advantage in supply, Suklaa was still able to micro his way out of that.
I think the issue right now for Suklaa is that he doesn't have a ground army, especially a ground army that shoots up. And all of these Corruptors can just go in alone and kill a
Colossus really easily. So
he does put in a bunch